Welcome to my channel. Imagine a reality that exists alongside ours, similar yet independent. Sometimes, the differences are minor, but other times, they are drastic. And in rare moments, these worlds collide, bringing forth uninvited guests or making us the intruders. Today, we'll explore two eerie cases of parallel universes crossing paths. Get ready for mind-bending stories that defy logic. The Vanished Bride. This strange incident took place in a rural town in New Hampshire. A young bride was preparing for her wedding. As the big moment approached, she lay down in her bedroom for a short rest. The wedding dress and veil were already hanging nearby, radiating beauty and anticipation. Just as she was drifting off, a soft rustling sound woke her up. A chill ran down her spine. In front of her bed stood a bizarre little man, no taller than a child, with greenish skin, sunken cheeks, and a pointed chin. His eyes were shut tight, yet she felt as if he was staring right through her. Terrified, she squeezed her own eyes shut. But when she dared to open them again, the creature did the same, revealing massive almond-shaped eyes glowing bright green. The light flooded the room like two blinding spotlights. And then, darkness. Her mother, attempting to check on her, found the door locked from the inside. No response. Feeling something was terribly wrong, her parents broke the door down, only to find an empty room. The wedding turned into a missing persons case. The police found no forced entry, no footprints, no explanation. Days passed in anguish. Then, 2 days later, as her parents sat in mourning, they suddenly heard footsteps inside their locked apartment. They rushed to their daughter's room and found her sitting on the bed, stretching and yawning, as if she had just woken up. She had no idea she had been missing for days. The last thing she remembered. The green-eyed creature. To this day, no one knows where she went. Paranormal investigators found no evidence of a break-in, no traces of an anomaly. But some believe she had slipped into another dimension. As the days passed, the bride-to-be attempted to return to normal life, but something about her had changed. Her once bright and lively personality had dimmed. She moved with an eerie grace, her speech slower, as if she were constantly distracted by something beyond reality. Her fiancé, devastated yet overjoyed by her return, tried to comfort her, but she seemed distant. At night, she often woke up screaming, claiming to see those green eyes hovering above her in the dark. The nightmares became more frequent, until one evening, she awoke standing in the middle of the forest, miles from home, barefoot in her nightgown. Terrified, she rushed back, but the sense of being watched never left her. Shadows flickered in the corners of her vision, and whispers echoed in her ears when no one was around. Desperate for answers, her family sought help from a renowned paranormal researcher named Dr. Elias Moore. Dr. Moore arrived at the house with specialized equipment. He recorded unusual fluctuations in electromagnetic fields around the bride and found strange symbols faintly appearing on the bedroom walls under ultraviolet light. They were unfamiliar to any known language but seemed to shift when observed. Determined to uncover the truth, Dr. Moore hypnotized the young woman to regress her memories. What she described chilled everyone in the room. She spoke of floating in a dark, endless space, surrounded by beings identical to the one she had seen in her room. They whispered in an ancient tongue, their voices a mix of harmony and discord. Time did not exist there, only a sensation of infinite observation. Then, a bright portal appeared, and she was suddenly back in her bed. As if no time had passed, Dr. Moore suggested she had been taken beyond time and space, possibly into another plane of existence. But why was she returned? What did they want? The researcher left, promising to continue investigating. However, the bride's condition worsened. She became increasingly detached, speaking in odd phrases, her eyes sometimes flashing an unnatural green. On the night before her rescheduled wedding, she vanished once more, this time forever. No footprints. No sign of struggle. Just an open window, though the house was on the 3rd floor. The only thing left behind was her wedding dress, neatly folded on the bed, and the faint, lingering scent of something unearthly. The case remains unsolved. Some say she was never truly returned, only a shadow of what she had been. Others whisper that she had become one of them, forever lost in the void. Dead husband from another universe. In Switzerland, 1978, a woman named Bridget X was admitted to a psychiatric clinic. The reason? She insisted her husband was dead, even though he was very much alive. According to Bridget, her husband Walter had died in a car crash just days ago. She remembered the funeral in painful detail. So when she came home one day and saw him standing in their kitchen, she collapsed in terror. Walter was confused. He had been in an accident, but only suffered minor injuries. Yet Bridget described his entire funeral, down to the floral arrangements. Both underwent psychiatric evaluations. No mental illness was found. The only problem, their memories of recent events did not match at all. Could it be that Bridget had temporarily shifted into a version of reality where her husband had truly died? Bridget was not easily convinced that Walter was real. At first, she refused to let him touch her. His presence, his voice, everything about him felt off, like a cruel trick being played on her mind. She spent hours staring at him, analyzing every movement, every word, searching for discrepancies that might expose him as an imposter. Yet, to everyone else, Walter was exactly who he claimed to be, her husband, alive and well. Her family was torn between worry and frustration. They pleaded with her to accept reality, but how could she, when she had seen the coffin lower into the ground, heard the mourner's sobs, and felt the weight of grief so intensely that it still pressed on her chest? She described to the doctors the funeral in vivid detail, the polished mahogany coffin, the black lilies on top, flowers Walter had always said he hated. The rain had poured down heavily that day, soaking her dress, making the earth soft beneath her feet as she watched his burial. She even recalled the priest's words as he recited the final prayer. And yet, here Walter was, sitting across from her, sipping coffee as if nothing had happened. Out of desperation, Bridget began searching for proof of her own experience. She called the local funeral home, but they had no record of Walter's service. The newspaper had no obituary. Even the death certificate she swore she had signed was missing. It was as if the funeral had never happened. Yet, she still possessed a small memento from that day, a black ribbon from the funeral wreath. She found it in the pocket of the same dress she had worn to his burial. She clutched it tightly, her only tangible link to the truth she believed in. Determined to understand what had happened, Bridget began documenting everything she could remember. She listed every detail of the funeral, her emotions, the condolences from family and friends. But as she questioned those same people, their responses chilled her to the bone. No one else recalled attending a funeral. As weeks passed, Bridget began noticing small, unsettling differences in her world. Their bedroom wallpaper was now a slightly different shade of blue than she remembered. A childhood scar on Walter's forehead, one she was certain had been there since they met, was now gone. He swore he had never had such a scar. The more she searched for familiar details, the more inconsistencies she found. Her mind wavered between believing she was insane and fearing she had slipped into a world that was almost, but not quite, her own. Could it be possible that she had crossed into another version of reality, one where Walter had survived? If so, what had happened to the Bridget who originally belonged to this world? One night, as Walter slept beside her, she whispered to herself, "If this isn't my world, then where is mine?" The question echoed in her mind, gnawing at her sanity. Then, something even stranger happened. One morning, she found Walter standing by the window, staring blankly outside. When she called his name, he turned slowly, his face pale and confused. "Bridget. I had the strangest dream," he murmured. "I dreamt you were gone. That I buried you. That I grieved for months, thinking I had lost you forever. But then, you were here again. Just like before. Just like nothing had happened." Bridget felt her blood run cold. Was it possible that both of them had experienced a reality where the other had died? Had they both somehow shifted between timelines, losing and regaining each other in different versions of existence? Over time, their fears settled into an uneasy acceptance. They never spoke about it again, never tried to explain it. But sometimes, late at night, Bridget would feel Walter's fingers brush against hers as if reassuring himself that she was still there. And sometimes, she would do the same. Neither of them ever truly knew which reality was real, or if, perhaps, both of them had died in their own worlds and somehow found each other again in a new one. If these stories sent chills down your spine, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Which story creeped you out the most? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and if you love true horror stories, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay safe.